All right. Welcome, players, to Triple Play Fantasy Basketball Mini Tapes with Coach James Lewis. That's me, represent Maryland, and Coach Kevin Coleman, represent California. Another episode of Trip Play Coach's Corner. Topic at hand today is Brad Beal. And the question that I'm going to ask Kev is, should Brad Beal be starting in this All-Star game, being the Wizards are kind of been boo-boo this year?
Yeah, this is a tougher one. I think it's kind of like we did a podcast recently. It's kind of your definition of what All-Star means. And for me, it's if he gets voted in, then he deserves to be in. It's a fan show. And he is one of the best players in the league. It's just he plays for the Wizards right now, who, hey, they're quietly not doing – they're okay. They're coming around a little bit there, Coach.
Hey, from a local guy, I've been glued. It's 4 in a row, buddy boy. We're coming for that 10th spot. Nobody wants to play us in that play-in game. But, yeah, we are rolling. And I'll kind of talk about why I think that they're playing better as a team in a little bit. But – let's take a look at his numbers real quick, just so it's all out there. And they're quite fascinating. Obviously, everyone pretty much knows he leads the league in scoring at 33 a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.4 steals on 3 turnovers. And I think he's at the highest usage rate or top 3 in the league. He's shooting 48% from the field, 33 from 3. Although he has just the smoothest stroke that you can find, and I could see that number going up. 89 from the free throw line. He goes 8 times a game, so that's 7 of 8, and that means that he's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid to drive the lane. He's had 1 game under 24. He had an abysmal 7-point game in a blowout where he didn't play the whole second half. And he just bested Damian Lillard last night with 37 points in a win, 16 of 27 shooting to Damian Lillard's 35, where he was 10 for 30 shooting.
Yeah. Just by numbers, he deserves to get in. And, I think he's on a terrible squad, and I think he's had to really – let's face it. Without Bradley Beal, what is that team? That team is what? They have 10 wins right now. You think they're at 3, 4? They're around there. So when we're talking about deserving, I think Beal's deserving. When you look at all his numbers, even his everything is really good. And I think that, if anybody deserves to start, it's him. Give him some credit for playing in that crappy organization right now. And with that, and just kind of give him some credit. I think what he's been able to do, and I'm really excited for the Laker game tomorrow. And I want to see can they maybe pull it out, another win here and see it. But, hey, you know what? They beat Boston, Houston, Denver, Portland. Those are, hey.
And the Nets twice.
Yeah.
So they are still the Wizards. They'll lose to every terrible team and still manage to rack up a couple wins against some of the best.
Yeah, and I will say, I was listening to the Russillo podcast. He was talking about their schedule. Now, they have played the least amount of West Coast teams, so Western Conference teams. So they're going to be playing some teams pretty soon. So I think you got to be careful with their schedule and their numbers. But no, I think Beal deserves again, and I think you agree. I think that he's one of the best players. I agree that he should be a starter because he's leading the league in scoring, which isn't everything, but he's got that team to 10 wins. And if you look at that roster, that's an accomplishment in itself.
Absolutely, and not to make any excuses on their team, but the Wizards have had some bad luck this year. They did miss 2 weeks because of a COVID outbreak. That's probably the biggest one that we've seen in the league as far as, I think, 7 players contracted the virus. But let's not forget yes, my answer is yes, he should be starting. And he got the more votes for any guard. And it had a little bit to do with the scoring outbreaks. The franchise record 60 on Gilbert Arenas' birthday, who ties that franchise record. He purposely missed the free throw at the end. He's an 89% free throw shooter. He purposely missed it to not get it because it was like they were down by like 4 or 5 and they weren't going to win. And so he didn't feel like he earned that top mark, which kind of just shows his character. He also had a 47-point game in a loss. But it's hard to build continuity when your starting point guard is highly, highly inefficient and highly poor decision-making with his turnovers. He also wasn't playing back-to-backs. In this 4-game winning streak, Russell's not sitting out anymore. And I think that bids well. Like, you get a little bit of chemistry. They're trying to work it out. I mean, you see these games and Russell's just not on the same page, and it's a bad turnover. And he says, my bad, but it's hard to build that chemistry. And then your starting center who's started to blossom, and Thomas Bryant tears his ACL, right? That's another bad luck situation. And then, hey, I know you can't determine this unless you're LeBron James, but their head coach is probably the worst head coach in the NBA. Scotty Brooks doesn't watch film, doesn't make adjustments. They've been probably the top 5 worst defensive teams in the last 4 years. I don't know how he still holds a job. He seems like a cool guy and probably friends with management, but his run needs to end like yesterday. So like I will give that as far as kind of an excuse, and I could see them piling wins up to get into that 10 spot. And I got to credit Brad because he's definitely like said that for weeks now. But like, who's the best guard in the East, right? I'm going with Brad Beal. Outside of the argument that you could make for the Nets backcourt, yes, Kyrie Irving and James Harden are, probably better than him right now. But if we all saw James Harden took some time to get to the East, right? That whole situation was ugly, and he might not get those votes. So that's why I don't have any disagreement. I don't like, who else do you think is more deserving to start in the All-Star game above him?
I don't think anybody. I think the only argument you can make is Harden, right? And I think, but even then, I think with what he did at the beginning of the year, how he was like 85 pounds overweight. Now he's fine. I need to go on his diet because I am losing myself over here. This dad bod I got going on.
Hoops, man. That's his regimen. Like, he loves basketball, and when he plays a lot and he's in tune, I think that's his. He's got no secret. He's still eating chicken wings. He's still eating donuts this morning.
He's still going to those special clubs out in Atlanta eating chicken wings. But I think that that's the only argument you can make. But Beal deserves to get in there, and I'm happy for him. So I think that all that controversy over he started, I think it's all for naught. I think he deserves it. Harden can come off the bench.
I'd agree with you. Harden would be my only other guy, and I think he's on his way to lead the league in assists, and really kind of sacrificed his shooting, like maybe shooting like half the shots that he was shooting last year for that team to play point guard. When Kyrie Irving is listed as a point guard, he's like, nah, go to the 2 because you shoot, you can create, and I'll just handle the bulk of this. I'll get everybody in great position, and I think that's super underrated. Just James Harden's passing. I mean, he is an incredible passer of the basketball, and it's clearly not just a system thing here. He's legit. I did want to kind of go back to the Brad Beal. Like, another reason why I think he should start is the eye test, and to me, the eye test tells me he has no flaws in his game, and the fact that he's this efficient with that much usage rate. His step back is filthy, but his side step where he creates contact in that kind of mid-range area makes him almost like unguardable when he's diving off of a pick. He gets a little separation. The defender's chasing him. He's got big shoulders. He's strong, and then he creates that separation to get the shot. And then we already talked about his ability to drive and get to the lane, and then how efficient he is at the free throw line. So I think he's a capable defender. I think it's just like when no one else plays defense and we're not on the same page, and we have no coaching staff that has a system in place where it's just like, all right, go, you get this guy, you get this guy, like it's middle school rec league basketball or something. But I digress on Scotty Brooks. I'm sure the Scotty Brooks band club is going to come my way. But I know you had an idea about maybe where we think that he might go. So let's throw out some hypotheticals and see how we both feel on these things.
Yeah, the biggest question that we've been hearing, and I think if they keep winning, they're going to keep him. But it could Bradley Beal get moved this season, off season? Do they keep him? And I've seen a couple. So there's a few I like. I'm going to start with the Miami deal first, and because I want him to go to Miami because that's kind of like my squad away from my squad. I love Jimmy Butler. He's one of my favorites.
Hey, fun fact, me too. Yeah. He's my squad away from my squad too. So
I kind of just like Jimmy. Like, Jimmy's my guy. So so this would be the Heat receive Bradley Beal. And Washington's going to get Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Kelly Olynyk, and that's just for salary cap purposes. 2022 first, 2025 first, and a 2027 first. So a lot of pieces. I don't know if I see any dollar pieces in there, but what do you think about that one?
Now, as far as like the fit around Russell, I like it. You put shooters around him. You got a young stud in Tyler Hero that is going to be a great pro. I mean, when you shoot lights out like that, and then Duncan Robinson is a great shooter himself. It's just not enough. It's just not enough for Bradley Beal, a top 20 player in our NBA. I love Jimmy too. We actually have this same exact birthday. 9/14/1989, and which is weird, but I'm a little bit into astrology, and I like his like just the vibes, his leadership, his toughness. It's very old school. So I would like that for Miami. I don't think that's the trigger for the Wizards to get it done, but at the end of the day, it's just looking more and more like he's going to play this year out. He's not going to say anything. He's going to play next year out, not say anything, and then he's really going to take a look at the mirror and be like, man, I'm in the prime of my career, and this franchise is giving me everything as far as the money and support. And we all saw him grow up, but he's probably going to look at the direction of, hey, I want to win. And so for me, I would say no if I'm the Wizards, and if I'm the Heat, I would be doing backflips.
Yeah, no, I mean that's more of a hint. I think it depends on what you think of Tyler Hero. I don't have Tyler Hero right that high to me. I think he's a very solid prospect, but he's not someone that is going to be on that level of game changers. I like him, but he's not up there. And I'm just glad that I'm finally on a show with someone older than me. I always feel like I'm the old dude, and I finally just figured out you're like 7 months older than me. So let's go. I'm excited about that.
Do it. Yeah, no, we ran into that earlier this year, and it's so funny because I'm always bringing up like T-Mac and old KG. Like they remember Celtic KG, but like T-Wolf KG. How great Tim Duncan. These kids don't know how good Tim Duncan is.
Nah.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, no, I'm with you, buddy. 90s basketball.
So another one that I'm interested. Now there's a bunch, but I think we can focus on this one. Do you think that the Sixers would give up Ben Simmons now for Bradley Beal? Or now that was floated around before the Harden deal, and it was kind of floated around before all this stuff going on. Now we've seen Ben Simmons really come on, and he's really basically after that trade rumors, I think he kicked himself into gear. So a deal that I saw was Bradley. Now this is a little later though. Bradley Beal for Ben Simmons. Matisse Thybulle, who is really a great defender. Thybulle is really coming along, and he's someone I really like playing on that Sixers team. And in a 2021 first, would you do that deal?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that's where Houston kind of missed the mark with the Harden trade. Is you can get all these first round picks. We've seen Boston do it. Are you going to hit though? So if you have a guaranteed bona fide young superstar, and I know how you feel about Ben. I feel the same exact way. I think that he is a much better basketball player than what people perceive because of his ability to defend, but his ability to pass and I mean I think he shoots like 60%. He barely shoots, but he is a winning basketball player, and that's the guy that I would jump to do. And then if it doesn't work for Philly, obviously they're in first place. And so I think they want to kind of see this out. I know how much Doc Rivers loves Ben Simmons, but it is a great, great fit with Joel Embiid and getting another shooter that can go create his own shot. So the Sixers, it's like if I'm Morey and I'm in that system, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing. But I think they'll see it out. What do you see them doing?
Yeah, I think had this gone down a month ago, I think that the Sixers probably would have accepted this deal. And I think now what they've seen, I think they'd probably be like, you know what, we're going to keep Ben, fill him around him. But I do think the Sixers have some issues. They might be first, but they have to get some depth. You know what? We've talked about Danny Green before. He's not the answer for that team. He's too inconsistent. They got to find someone in there. Maybe JJ comes back home.
Oh, that's the MO of their bench too, because like you said, they got to get deeper. But like Korkmaz will play well for 5 games. Scott will play good for 5 games. Yeah. Milton, like you said, if they all play there at their top level, you got a really deep bench, but they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, they need a veteran in there, and so the buyout thing will be interesting for them too. But I think, like you said, I think it just kind of depends. I think I think right now the Sixers aren't going to do that. I think that the Wizards maybe missed their mark. They could have grabbed someone like Simmons, and he doesn't come around there. I think Houston made a huge mistake. I would have grabbed. I don't know what they were doing. First round picks are such lottery, especially if they're late. I grabbed Ben Simmons all day, and I take it. They thought that deal was done. They actually called Ben Simmons' agent and said, hey, you're probably going to get traded to Houston. They thought it was already done, and they went to the Nets.
He was really happy that he wasn't traded. He said those comments, but he was ready to go. He was ready to go. But do you think it had to do with the whole Biden like Morey thing and like pride? Like, I don't want to make a trade with Daryl Morey because clearly there was something bad going on when he's like, I'm going to retire, and then comes back 2 weeks later for the 76ers. I think like you got to put your pride to the side, dude, like, and make the best trade for you. They didn't even get Allen out of the deal. As soon as they got LeVert, they flipped it for Oladipo's on injury problems, and maybe that works out. But he's on a contract too that expires at the end of the year.
Yeah,
like, they just got they got some picks, but you want to get something substantial to build your franchise around. And yeah, now you got John, and he's playing well, but you know, how long is he gonna be out there before he gets hurt? He plays so damn hard, and I feel bad for him because you know he gets I don't know, he gets a lot of bad rap, but he will run through a brick wall for you, and I saw that for so many years, but you just can't rely on that, and they missed the boat, dude. Let's just face it.
They missed it. I mean, that's the deal. Do you have a team out there that you think maybe they could try to grab Beal that I didn't cover?
I've talked about this on the pod a couple times that I thought that and there's no rumors here, but I just think that a package that Atlanta can give you with John Collins, and you sign him for the future. He's going to have to go to a team that can sign him big money, and if you get rid of Brad's contract, they're the young assets intrigue me more than say Miami, because one, you get John Collins, but then you could get Reddish, you could get Herder, local guy, you could get DeAndre Hunter was playing the best out of everybody in that group. If you get all those guys, plus they got a Kongwu, they got people to play with, and then you still have some depth there with Rondo and Dunn, and you're in a win now based on your paychecks is paying Gallo, that's paying a Bogdan that we haven't seen, and then you got Trey and Brad. That makes a lot of sense to me, but I haven't heard anything of the rumor mill. What do you think about the idea of Denver and getting in the mix? I mean, they have a young stud that has been inconsistent, but is somebody that's very, very intriguing, and we saw his bubble play, and that's the Denver Nuggets. What do you think about a package of, say, Michael Porter Jr., you get a couple picks because Denver has all their first-round picks. You get those picks, maybe some swaps, and maybe your choice of the litter, like you get Monte Morris, or you get a couple other Bol, somebody you could try to hang your hat on for the future. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, no, I don't mind it either way. I don't know what Denver's doing, right? Denver's always kind of that middle of the pack team that's just not quite good enough to get over the hump. And so they think Michael Porter's that guy. I know he had his back thing, but it seems like he's doing better with that. I maybe would have to probably throw in Gary Harris if the Wizards would want Gary Harris back because of the money that he's making, about $19 million this year. So that would be an interesting, maybe throw him, Michael Porter in there with Beal, maybe the first. I think it's interesting. I think it makes Denver better because I think him and having Beal with a true Jamal Murray point guard, that guy that you could really see there, I think that would be a very good backcourt. And then you got, Jokic there. So, I mean, he's an MVP candidate right now. I think that would be a great deal. I just think that they love Michael Porter too much. What is your opinion on Michael Porter?
They said that he was untouchable. They weren't in the James Harden discussions either. They said he was untouchable before the season. I don't know if they've backtracked a little bit on that. Plus, with the Gary Harris thing, the way he's played in the last 2 seasons, I don't know. He has a nice stroke. He's lost all confidence there, and so I think that's going to be a hard contract to move. I think it would be. I think that they like him too much if it goes down to hey, we're not going to make this deal for Brad Beal because we don't want to send you Michael Carter. I don't know. It's Michael Porter, I should say. My fault. But they still have Barton, he's a super role guy, and I just think that lineup makes a lot of sense. That not only is the best pick and roll in basketball with Murray and Jokic being there, you got Brad to play along with that. So try to double down on Jokic. Try to go over the pick with Murray, and when you got Brad Beal in the corner, slashing, ready to create. And I mean, him playing with Jokic, that just sounds intriguing. We haven't seen that with the Wizards as far as somebody else creating something for him.
Yeah, I'm going to go make that trade on 2K real quick because that sounds fun. I love the Jokic and Beal and Jamal Murray out there. I just think Denver's got to do something because what they are right now are not contenders, and they have pretty good pieces and an MVP type player. But we've seen Jokic in the playoffs. He doesn't, what he does well in the regular season sometimes doesn't translate to the playoffs. I think that teams can really focus on him. They basically can single him out, and they need that next guy. Now they might think Porter's that guy. I think Beal is that guy, and I think that would really set them apart, and especially in the Western Conference, which is stacked. So I would try to do it, but I know they don't want to move Porter Jr., and so I think it's kind of mute, but I think it's a fair offer.
And I also want to point out, I don't know why they think this when Porter was kind of running his mouth, even in the playoffs, as far as not being a focal point, not getting the touches. So
yeah.
I think that he has a little bit underneath him that he wants to be the guy somewhere else, maybe a little like Kyrie type of feeling, where it's like he thinks that if he was on another team that he could be, projected to a whole nother level. I don't know if he's completely bought into this Denver Nuggets team 1,000%.
Yeah.
So. Do you have any other teams that you're thinking about? I think that we covered the hypotheticals, other than the article that came out yesterday about the Knicks trying to put their hand in there. But
yeah, I don't trust the Knicks. Knicks ain't getting anything done. They're not getting it done. No, I mean I think that's it. Maybe Warriors, Wiseman, and Wiggins in there for a first maybe. But other than that, I think it's really those three teams. But I love the Atlanta trade. I think that's a sneaky good one, depending on what you think of Collins, who I think is kind of getting. His numbers don't look as great this year because I think he wants out and he's kind of just playing, and he definitely wants there. So I like that one the most, but I think that the Denver one makes the most sense in terms of basketball perspective.
Yeah, and I think Atlanta might lose out and might see him walk because they waited too long to get in the trade discussions, even though that they gave all the money to two other people and one person that actually plays his position. So
yeah,
I see him walking. I see and then the whole Drummond and Griffin. Good luck trying to find trades with those contracts. So we'll be watching the buyout market, and that ends our episode 2 of Coach's Corner. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe. Give us some comments on some feedback that you feel like we hit on, we missed on. We'd love to hear from you. And that's it from Triple Play Fantasy.
See you guys.
Have a great day.